Hello and welcome to Stardew Valley in Minecraft, a new series where I build the world of Stardew Valley in Minecraft, one area at a time. Last episode we made this amazing map and we added the Adventurers Guild all the way in the back of the mountains. And with that addition we have now completed the entire mountain lake area. That means for the northern part of Stardew Valley, that leaves only two major areas still left to complete. One of which is the quarry that is supposed to go right here behind me. Of course, we have a ravine right where I'm standing and a little broken bridge. So that's something that I would like to tackle today. And that is of course going to include quite a bit of terraforming, because this is going to be the face or the backdrop of most of the area here. As we can see, that is still relatively empty. So this is something I would like to tackle. And we're of course going to add a bunch of trees. And I would like to extend the ravine from here all the way to the ocean over there. If you look at the map, the ravine goes from over here and extends all the way down. But I think it would look just as good if we extend it all the way over to the ocean there. Now, of course, for this, we're going to need some resources, but I should have a decent amount already. One of the major things that I'm going to need is a ton of glass. And of course, I'm also going to need terracotta. So I'm going to have to grind a little bit. So let's go ahead and show you what resources I'm gathering. Is that a baby squid? I don't think I've ever seen one of those. I didn't even think there were any. What in the world? That's the biggest rabbit I've ever seen. What have I missed? Oops. I didn't do anything, did I? Have they changed the size of rabbits or something? Now, one of the last things I needed, and this is of course extremely important, is a skeleton head. And the only place that you can find those is inside ancient cities. So I went off to a distant ancient city and I found some. And as I am basically an expert of getting these things out of the ancient city, it was of course no problem at all. I'll grab that. And we leave. It's that simple. Now we don't really need any more, we've already got a couple, so let's get out. Well, that didn't take as long as I was expecting, but if you look at all of these boxes, then you'd think that we were gathering for hours and hours. But luckily, most of these resources, like grass and moss and stone, I already had, so most of the boxes are things that I didn't gather today. However, the glass, we've got 2 full boxes of glass, we've got some brown terracotta over here, we've got a bunch of leaves, of course, for some trees, we've got andesite, and then several rock types to detail the mountains with. And then, of course, also a little bit of redstone, because yes, there is a few functionalities in the quarry. Some of you may not know this, but in the quarry in Stardew Valley, you can actually go there and gather a few types of materials. It's mostly just rocks, and therefore I'm going to add something to make it so that you can go back there every now and then to gather some rocks. But yes, that's why we're going to be needing some of these materials. Maybe you can work out exactly what it is by looking at this. There are a few components that aren't in this box, but yeah, that's gonna be very fun. I do really like bringing functionality from Stardew Valley into Minecraft, and this is something that I enjoy as a little challenge every now and then. So yeah, I'm very excited to get building, and it's gonna be quite a bit. So I hope that you guys like a time lapse, because I think it's ready for a time lapse. How about that? You guys like that? All right, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Oh, look what I found while I was digging. This is such a full box. What the heck? And we've got a heart of the sea. Lovely. And we're back. We have this lovely area right behind me. I added a ton of trees, as you could see, and a little bit of a beginning for the cliffs. I do want to do a little pass later on in this episode to add a bit more detail, like we have done with the previous bit of mountains and cliffs. Like I always add a bit of cobble, some of the dead coral blocks, and some mossy stuff, just to give it a bit more interest, because right now it's just very plain and boring. So that's gonna be an extra pass. Then here is something that it took a bit to figure out what I wanted to do with this. It's not perfect, but I wanted to keep this ravine area relatively dark. And I didn't want any mobs to spawn down here. And I also don't want to put any lighting down to prevent that, because that would make it so that there is no mob spawning, but then it's not dark anymore. So I asked everyone, and I also thought a little bit about what are the options, and I think out of all of the options that we currently have available, glass is the prettiest, because some of the other options that we have are of course using some carpet. And carpet could be nice, but then I would have to layer the entirety of this with just carpet, and I can't really add any other details to it. And as you can see, I wanted to add some bones and some skeleton skulls. It gives this really nice darkness effect that I ended up making a little bit less as you go along here. Gives this really nice vibe, and it extends all the way to the ocean where it drops off into the water. As you can see, there is a bit of a torch spam going on. I do have to go around, add some plants and bushes, and as I do that I will also of course light it with lichen instead of these ugly bright torches. Now of course over here we have the Adventurers Guild that we built last episode, and then it has this small bridge over the lake. And then we meet up with this path that goes to the quarry. And then, of course, right now we have this beautiful dirt bridge. And you might think like, oh, that's beautiful. That fits in so well with the surrounding area here. Why would you change this? But unfortunately for you guys, this is going to go away. And I see that I left a little hole here. But that won't matter, because this is where we are going to build a small bridge. And since you're supposed to unlock this area behind me later in the game, I want to add a little bit of redstone to this. And I have a really fun idea. I'm going to make it so that the bridge extends when it unlocks. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and build a small bridge and some redstone, and we're going to have some fun. Mostly you guys, because rebuilding the bridge is going to be very annoying. But I do want to show you how it works. Alright, there it is, the bridge is complete, and I'm very happy with the result. It looks like a broken bridge, and of course right now it is very much still broken. I even have some dirt here still, for me to easily cross, not using any rockets. However, I think I'll just remove that so that you guys can see what the bridge looks like from the side more easily. Now, as you can see in the bridge, I've used a combination of oak and jungle. These colors are somewhat neutral, and they are pretty nice together. And it's going to remain broken until we fill up one of the bundles in the community center, the building over here that I built a few episodes ago. And for now, I've installed this temporary lever that if I flick it, should extend this bridge. So yeah, let's go ahead and hit it and see if it works. And that's all it extends to. So now the bridge has fully extended and we can cross over to the other side. And from the side, it looks like it has sort of completed, right? It's still sort of a broken, rickety bridge, but I wanted this to be possible to be extended. And without that, it would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 block jump, which is not possible. Like if you jump here, you're gonna make it to roughly here. There is this gap as well, and that's where we need to be. So it should not be possible to jump it, and even if you go from here, you're still 1 block short. Of course, you could always cheat by going over the mountains and all that and get there anyway, because this is a Minecraft world and not Stardew Valley, where I can determine where you can walk and where you cannot walk. But this should at least make it so that it doesn't look like you can cross and should disincentivize you from crossing. And I might put a note here that it needs to be repaired via the community center or something like that. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to make it clear to the player that that's the case. Because not everyone has played Stardew Valley, and not everyone will know that that's how the bridge is repaired. Unless, of course, you go into the community center and look into the book. Right, now for this big area, there are of course some details to put in overall, and I want to put a few boulders around here and up on the cliffs a little bit. But before we do that, there is a bit of functionality I want to add to this place. So in Stardew Valley, when you come into the quarry, there is a bunch of rocks, sometimes even some trees. And what I want to do is I want to open this up a little bit. I want to make a few holes in some places, and I want to automate some very simple randomized cobblestone and basalt generators. And then you can come in here, remove the cobble, and later on it will sort of grow back. I think that's fun. It's not going to be super useful, I suppose, but it's going to be a little bit of fun. And there we go, just a little bit of progress. I'll give you a small sneak peek under here for the redstone. As you can see, there's just a couple of pillars. It is very simple. We have cobblestone generators, stone generators, and basalt generators. And I've hooked them up to a somewhat random tick, which is the saplings that can't grow, but every now and then they will try to grow. And that will be detected by the observer and trigger the pistons to grow up. Now I've also got a few armor stands on redstone. Those trigger a few more commonly. Oh, there we go. We just saw that one trigger. And so what you can do is you can come in here, you can mine this stone, and then later on, when this will update, it will grow back. This is the furthest push limit, so it won't ever go higher than this. So I thought this would be a fun way to make it so that you can collect some resources from this place. I've also added a few small stumps as a remainder for the trees. Here is the other basalt one, by the way, just in case you're wondering. One thing that I have also done in the meantime is this little bit over here. I've added a bit of a cave here. And down here is something that you might recognize, you might not. I'll have to put in a few more details, but for now it's all lit up and a giant maze. In this cave in Stardew Valley, you can find the Golden Hoe. Shrine for the Golden Hoe. Well, you're just gonna have to find it through the maze and it can be yours. Good luck when the world download is there. Not gonna be that much of an upgrade, but well. That's right, we're gonna be hiding that in there somewhere. Next up, I think I want to add some more detail to the cliffs and maybe add some boulders around here. Oh my goodness, it looks so much better now that we've bone mealed and we've got a few rocks scattered around. I mean, you might see them just poking out a little bit up there. We've added some in the back here, so just a tiny bit variation. I just realized that there is one more thing that I would like to add as little details scattered around. I almost forgot about that. Let's go ahead and grab these out of the box. Alright, so as you can see over here, we have a couple little bushes everywhere, and currently we don't really have any, so let's go ahead and build some of these all over the place as well. Like, for example, right here. The way that I do it is I use a combination of jungle leaves and mangrove leaves. The majority of it will be mangrove, and then a few details of it will be jungle leaves. There we go, it's a little bush. Let's go ahead and add some more around the area, and I'll be right back with you when I've added some more details. There we go, a little bit of greenery spread around. It just adds that tiny bit of detail that I like to see. In the meantime, I have also added the final bits of detail over here. That is the mine shaft with the minecart and everything. How exactly it will work and implementing the functionality I will do in a later episode. We have one more location that we can take the minecart from and to, which is the bus station. So I think that that's the moment when I will connect them all up and make them all functional. So that is not yet this episode or the next one, but we're gonna get there pretty soon. And I'm pretty excited to connect them and being able to go around the world with minecarts. But I think that's it for now. As the sun sets, this is the end of the video. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next video. And if you like this one, please like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.